Hello again, IKECA members. Randy Conforti here. I have the opportunity to be sitting with your past president, Neal Iorii. Neal, how you
Hello,
doing?
everybody. Good, Randy. How you doing?
Oh, just enjoying the social distancing and trying to figure out how to spend most of my time at home.
Yeah, I noticed you don't have like the COVID hair fro that everybody else seems to have. I mean, mine, I have no problem. I just hit it with the clippers and I'm good to go. But still looking pretty good there, buddy.
The secret is the wife couldn't take it, so she bought an online shaving kit and took on grooming on her own. So,
Nice,
so
nice.
here it is. So as leaders of the association, Neal and I were having a conversation about how to address volunteerism and how to help people understand leadership and get people involved or at least thinking about, hey, I'd like to participate. Neal, any thoughts on that?
You know, you use the word leadership. It's definitely. I mean, the technical term is volunteer leadership. I understand that. In the same respects, we need to be more of a representative than a leader. We need to listen to the members when you're on the board. You need to listen to what people are saying when the phone calls and emails you get. Sometimes you need to explain to them why something can or cannot be done or had to be done a certain way. But at the end of the day, we're trying to represent and do what is right for the membership and the industry as a whole.
Okay, so even though it's just a couple of days now, how are you enjoying past presidency?
I guess it really hasn't set in too much, mainly because you keep calling me. But
okay, note to self: stop calling Neal.
No, you know what? It really hasn't set in that much, mainly because we just came off of a board meeting. It's going to be kind of weird to not be in the preparation phase for the next board meeting. I do have to say it's very bittersweet coming off. I was hoping to be able to see everybody in Charlotte this past week, and that just didn't happen. I was hoping to give you a proper introduction to the membership, because I know that you're going to take the reins for the next year or two and really see what you can do behind the wheel of this thing.
We'll see what happens for fall. I'm sure we're optimistic for fall, and we'll see what happens then.
Absolutely.
So if we go back to your beginnings as a board member, what can you share what it was like?
Well, I started off pretty young. I was 29 or 30 years old, and at the time, I was told by several people that I was the youngest the youngest person ever be elected to the IKECA board. And when I mentioned that to Barney Beasel, he said that was a bunch of bull, that he started this thing 3 years younger than I was when I came on the board. So, yeah, he put a squash to that. But, the experience has just been, overall, it's been a tremendous experience. It's been great. It's been fun. Made some tremendous friends out of it. People that I can call. I know I can go to almost any city in the country and have someone to have a drink or a steak with.
So I know that with all the accolades of board members and all the positive stuff, I'm sure that there's trials or there's issues that are not so pleasant. Have you had to experience any of that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, just like in your business, I mean, you're going to have your good days and your bad days. The good days far outweighed the bad. There was a couple times that, looking back on it, there was a couple tough spots. I've been through 2 transitions with management companies, and that wasn't easy. That's never easy as a director. The last one I went through as the president, so that was definitely not an easy task. But again, you get to work with and meet some great people, and all in all, I chalk it up to a learning experience.
Okay. What would you consider benefits of volunteering for either a committee or ultimately the board?
The committee benefits are definitely there. I mean, you have your typical IKEA standard benefits. You get your CEUs for it, stuff, all that good stuff. I like being behind the scenes. I like knowing what's going on or what should go on before it happens. There's no doubt about it. That's one of the nice things about both the committee work. It gives you a better understanding of how IKEA itself works internally. It really does. You get to see. Again, like I said, members come up to you all the time, and you'll find this out shortly. Now that you're the president, that members will start calling you with ideas or comments or complaints or what have you, and then you're going to have to explain to them legitimately as to why something happened or how something happened. And, it really, because oftentimes people say, well, we should do this. Well, legally, we can't do that. But I wouldn't have known that had I not been on the board. These are all legitimate questions and concerns. But, had I not been in the room to hear somebody say, hey, just talk to a lawyer, and no, we can't do that.
Right.
So.
I know for me that when we join IKEA, we don't think about we're joining IKEA to become a board member or a committee member. We're joining an association to learn. And I found that there was an amazing amount of information that you don't know in the industry. And not only about your knowledge of exhaust systems and everything that the industry is, but about yourself as far as your personal skill set. What you thought you knew, you have maybe a fraction of what's really the truth or what's out there. So between getting an education on the industry, now as a committee member or a board member, you're learning your personal skill set. You define a better language on how to communicate on a higher level. I know working with you within these last several months that when you talk about contractual stuff, I've always read the word force majeure, never gave it a second thought. Now all of a sudden it's like a very critical piece. And it's like one of those words that don't make sense, but now you know the meaning. You're like, wow, everything is, you start to define words. And that's just like, one piece of being involved. There's so much information that you thought you knew, then you didn't.
Absolutely. And one of the things I gained from being on the board is it really helps you work with people. In our businesses, I still work for my dad, but in our businesses, most of the people in that boardroom, we're the boss. We're the ones who what we say goes. It's essentially a monarchy at work. But in the board, there are 8 or 10 other people that you have to. It's got to gel. Everybody's got to come together for this for it to happen. I can't just, even as president, you can't just jump up there and say, this is what we're doing. No, it's got to go to a vote. And it's really helped me even in my business that I'm able to sit down with my dad, his partner, other people in the office and say, okay, let's come together and figure out the best way to do this.
So what I'm hearing from you is there's multiple personalities or different personalities or certainly ways of thinking that aren't in alignment with yours. And you've got to figure out how to come together with, 2 different philosophies or 2 different thoughts, 2 different personalities and say, hey, how do we come up with one?
Yeah, actually, it's more like 10 different personalities. But sometimes even if everybody's on the same page, they might have slightly different plans as to how to get to the same end. And, you learn to listen to people a lot better. You think you have a great idea until you hear somebody else and you're like, wow, that's actually much better than my idea. So thank you.
Right. So with the board work, do you find that people would abstain from doing it because of fear of the unknown, or they feel that I could never do that. I don't have those skills?
I think it's a little fear. I think you're right. I don't necessarily know if it's a fear that they don't have the skills. I think a lot of people, it's a fear they don't have the time. And it is time consuming. You and I both know that. It gets more time consuming the higher you go up on the IKEA ladder, for sure. But I would say it's time well spent. It's time and money well spent. Absolutely.
There's the commitment there's a reward for the investment of time. There's no doubt about that.
Absolutely.
I know that I certainly have developed a better vocabulary, a better language, a better understanding of things that are, for the last 25 years, we learned how to perfect our business. What things do we do each day to better the business? As an IKEA member, now we're doing, not only that we want to improve the association or a committee or, depending on the scope that you're involved in, but you want to do it right. You want to get it, you want to be better. And I found that, being involved, your skill set just becomes sharpened, you're honed in, either with the challenges or the excitement of, the positive and negative of it. There's just so much good that comes out of it.
For sure. I will say, being a member of IKEA and talking to people in the meetings and stuff like that, it's definitely made us better cleaners, but being on the board has made me a better business person. There's no doubt about it.
So with that, do you have the good and bad? There's the highlights and there's those things that you wish you didn't experience. You want to share that?
Yeah, the highlights, I'd say one of my biggest highlights was being part of the original ANSI consensus body. I was one of the voters to form that. To see that process go through and know that we could and did write our own standards, and to be part of that even to this day, it was definitely a highlight of my IKECA career, no doubt. Aside from the personal stuff, that's more just on an IKECA level. The personal stuff, again, the friendships and the camaraderie is definitely the highlight of, the laughter I've had with every board member I've served with for the last 12 out of 13 years.
So for that over a decade of time, you had the opportunity to work with some of the founding members and some of the leaders of the association. What was that like?
It was definitely a learning experience. You take away things from people like Barney Beasel that you couldn't get from most people in the world or in this industry, for sure. When you get to talk to somebody on a regular basis that manufacturers call for advice,
right?
It's really something special. So when you get someone like Barney, like Jim Roberts, like Nelson, like yourself, I mean, you do installs as well as cleaning. So when you get to be with these people, it's really it's a wonderful thing.
So the positive I could take there is that if I look into the future, the upcoming people who are going to sit amongst us will be like, we'll be their leaders, we'll be their guys that will be mentored, and that's helping the cause of evolution of the association and the leadership, for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm 10, 15 years from now, some new member is going to be like, oh my God, I just sat with and had lunch with Randy Conforti.
So it's as far as the volunteerism, what can we say to members that are thinking about, hey, I haven't made that commitment, or I haven't said, yeah, I'm going to do that. What can we say to them that would solidify them to say, yes, I'm going to put my hand up, I'd like to participate?
Just do it. Just do it. Just put your hand up and participate. Participate in a committee, participate in, run for the board. You might not win. It is an election. Run again if you don't. If you really want, I ran originally because I have a passion for this organization, and my passion only grew once I was kind of behind the curtain, so to speak. When I saw how the wheels moved and how everything operated, I really, again, my passion for this organization and the industry grew. There's no doubt about it over the last 12 years. And if you have even the slightest passion for this industry, if it's not just a job to you, but it is a career, it is your business, it is your first, second, or third child, then you need to think about getting more involved and how to push IKEA standards and just the IKEA mindset throughout the rest of this industry.
So I know that when I was coming up, that people said, "Oh, Randy, it's just a few hours of time, a couple of times a year." Well, we know that isn't true. What can we say about being truthful about the time commitment piece?
Well, I think I was the person who told you that. Again, you're gonna get out what you put in. There are a few people that essentially throughout the years have only gone to the board meetings in the spring and fall and been on the phone, when we have the conference calls. And then there's those of us who chaired committees and ran with those committees and, spent hours upon hours doing it. Again, you're going to get out what you put in. There's no doubt about it.
I know as a leader in the committees and everything that I've experienced in the last few years, there's some great talent in that room. And nobody wants to see anybody to fail. Everybody wants to, lift that person up and say, hey,
right.
If this is your strength, let's run with your strength. If there's a weakness, hey, let's build upon that to make you a better person. There isn't a member that wants anybody to feel uncomfortable, doesn't want them to not succeed. You know, I mean, that is, again, like I said earlier, the evolution of the leadership of the board that ultimately leads the association. So I always encourage anybody to, if there was a doubt, put that doubt aside and say, hey, get involved, make a difference.
Right. The reward far outweighs what you have to put into it. There's no doubt about it.
Any other words of encouragement? Because I know, you know, there's got to be a little bit of, you know, it's not all glory, but for the stuff that, for the negative piece, what do you see as being the drawback?
You know, the time is definitely a drawback. And again, you can put as much time or as little time as you want into it. But you know, it's work. You're adding an extra layer of work to your probably already busy life. You know, it might just be a few emails sometimes. You know, there were, even as president, some weeks I had where it was, you know, 1, 2, or 3 emails I had to respond to throughout the week, and that was all of my IKEA work. And then there were other weeks where, you know, my duck cleaning hobby got in the way of my IKEA business. So it was, you know, you definitely you take the good with the bad. And again, there was a lot more good than there was bad. There's no doubt about
You're right. I agree with you there. Again, I will encourage anybody to participate and guide them along. The support system is invaluable. Again, there's a lot of talent, and everybody wants to see everybody succeed. With
that.
that
Absolutely.
being said, any good parting words?
You know, just everybody stay safe, obviously, with everything that's going on in this world right now. You know, keep doing your best. And I'll say what I always say at the podium: the best thing you can do for IKEA as a member is to do the cleaning properly. Let people out there see that IKEA members do clean right on a regular basis.
And Neal, as you and I are trying to ensure that we're going to see each other and all the members in Milwaukee, in order to do that, we have to make sure that everybody remains safe, everybody remains healthy. They follow the state's CDC guidelines and do everything that we can to have an opportunity to get to Milwaukee.
Absolutely. Now I have a question for you.
What's that?
So you've been president now for a few days. How does it feel?
I tell you what, it's awesome. With all the phone calls that you and I have had, it's like I wanted to hit the ground running, making the phone calls, making the contacts, developing, you know, certain missions of, you know, things that need to get at least in motion immediately. So I know that on Thursday and Friday, it's like, you know, at the end of the day, I'm like, man, there's so many things that just happened in, you know, 48 hours. So it's exciting for me, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to have you in that seat. I know you're really going to do a great job. I've watched you over the last year, and you're going to take off with this thing, and I'm excited to see where you're going to take it.
Trust me, if I'm tripping, I expect you to have practice off in the fall.
Yeah, no, of course. You know, I'm always there for you, just like I am with everybody else in IKEA.
So with that being said, from your past president and your current president, talking to our valued members, we always want to provide you guys with some information and set a standard for the industry and for the association. Everybody remain safe and healthy, and we're in it together. And we'll look forward to seeing you guys on the next topic.
Absolutely. Thanks, Randy.
Thank you, sir.
Take care.
Bye now.